friends, let's learn. Opposites. Can you think of any other opposites? I see a
lemon.
Yeah. Now, this is
a lollipop.
Sweet lollipop.
And this is
sour. Sour lemon. I don't like sour foods.
Me either. Yeah.
Do you see cold ice?
Cold ice made of water.
Oh yeah. What about
fire?
Fire is
hot and that makes them spicy.
It sure does. I don't like spicy foods either.
And this is a ball, a bouncy ball.
Yes, it's a big soccer ball.
And this is a tiny ball because it's made of a shape like a ball.
Yeah, it's like a small tennis ball.
Yes, it's like a small tennis ball.
What's next?
And in car race car is fast like a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's a race car. Mm-hmm.
And a caterpillar is
slow. That's actually a snail.
Oh,
but I think a caterpillar is slow too. I think so. But a snail is slow. You did a good job.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi friends, this is an angelfish. Angelfish begins with the letter A. Sometimes the letter A sounds like A or A as an apple. But this is an angelfish. Can you point to the beaver on the screen? Beaver begins with the letter B. Beaver. Chimpanzee. P. A. Z. E. Chimpanzee. Chimpanzee begins with the letter C. Chimpanzee. Now, what is hiding behind the red rhombus?
Right over there.
Yes, that is a B. B is for beaver. I see a deer. Deer begins with the letter D. Can you say deer? Hello, deer. Ooh, I see an eel. Eel begins with the letter E. E sounds like E or eh. Fox. Fox. Ox. Fox. Can you say fox? Good job. Okay, what is hiding behind the yellow star?
Right over there.
That's the letter E. E is for eel. I see a groundhog on the screen. Groundhog begins with the letter G. Groundhog. Hummingbird. Hummingbird begins with the letter H. The letter H sounds like hummingbird. Check out this impala. Impala begins with the letter I. Can you point to the impala? Ribbit. This one says which frog is taller and which one is shorter. Can you point to the frog that is taller? Which one is the taller one? Okay. Which one is the smaller one?
Right here.
Okay. There's a frog fact right here. It says, did you know a group of frogs is called an army? What sound does a frog make? Glop, 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 glop. What is hiding behind the white circle?
Right over there.
Yes, right over there. It's an H. H is for hummingbird. Jaguar. Jaguar begins with the letter J. J sounds like J. Jaguar. Look, there's a koala on the screen. Can you point to the koala? Koala begins with the letter K. I see a lobster. Lobster. Stir. Lobster. I see a lobster. What is hiding behind the gray triangle?
Right over there.
The letter K. K sounds like K, like koala. I see a meerkat. Meerkat. Cat. Meerkat. Meerkat begins with the letter M. Newt. Newt begins with the letter N. Newt. Can you point to the newt's eyes? Newt. I see an ostrich. Ostrich begins with the letter O. Can you say ostrich? Good job. We are almost done. What is hiding behind the purple triangle?
Right over
Yes,
there.
the letter M. M is for meerkat. I see a pig. Pig begins with the letter P. P-I-G. Pig. I see a pig. Great job. Quail. Quail begins with the letter Q. Quail.
Right over there.
Do you see the quail? I see a raccoon. Raccoon begins with the letter R. Coon. Raccoon. Look, I see a raccoon. Can you point to the one that's large? Which one is a large bee? Oh, right. Which one is the small one? And which one is the medium one? Okay. There's a bee fact right here. It says, honeybees harvest nectar and pollen from flowering plants. You like bees? You do? What is hiding behind the green octagon?
Right
The
over
letter
there.
P. P is for pig. I see a hammerhead shark. Shark begins with the letter S. Shark. Turkey. Turkey begins with the letter T. Can you say turkey? This is called an underwing moth. Underwing begins with the letter U. Underwing. Underwing moth. Now, what is hiding behind the purple trapezoid? It's the letter T. T is for turkey. I see a vulture. Vulture begins with the letter V. Can you point to the vulture? It's right there. I see a wasp. Wasp begins with the letter W. Wasp. This animal is called a xerus. Xerus begins with the letter X. Xerus. Sometimes X sounds like X or Z. What is hiding behind the black square?
Right over there.
It's a W. W. Yak. Yak begins with the letter Y. Y. A. K. Yak. Yak. Do you see the yak? Zebra. Zebra begins with the letter Z. Zebra. Amazing job! Keep learning and growing with us. See you later.